Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in, have a seat, relax. We're going to have a great time today. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, coming to you direct from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We have a wonderful guest for you today. She's coming to us from Livonia in Slovenia. Her name is Vivian Mineker, and she is here to tell us about her brand new look at Robert Frost's A Road Not Taken. Before Vivian tells us about her new look at A Road Not Taken, I would love it if you would take a look at my new picture book, Love That I Matter to You. Love That I Matter to You. I wrote this book specifically for your child to read to you. You know how there are some books that your kids just love to have you read over and over and over again? Well, you are going to want your child to read this book to you over and over and over again. Love That I Matter to You. Sometimes it's hard for our kids to express themselves, to tell you just how much they love that they matter to you, that they love, that they are the most important things in your life, because you are the most important thing in their life. And Love That I Matter to You, that's what it's all about, giving kids a chance to say thank you for all of the wonderful things that you do, like reading to them and cooking with them and watching TV and just loving them. You can get a free digital download of Love That I Matter to You by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Sign up for our newsletter. It doesn't cost you a thing. And you get that free digital download of Love That I Matter to You. I am so very excited. I'm so amazed. We've had authors on the show from all over the world. We've mentioned many times that the show has been downloaded to every continent in the world, including Antarctica. But today we have our first guest coming to us from the beautiful city of Ljubljana, Slovenia. Please welcome to the show illustrator extraordinaire Vivian Mineker. Vivian, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Good. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Vivian has had an interesting kind of life and journey around the world herself. You started life in is it Portland, Oregon?
Actually, it's even more complicated than that. I was born in upstate New York, and I grew up in Taiwan, like Taipei, Taiwan.
Uh-huh.
And until I was about 14, and I moved to Portland, Oregon. And then that's where I spent most of my life after that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I ended up in Ljubljana about 3 years ago. So yeah.
That's wonderful.
It's been an interesting journey.
Now, one of the things, before we get in, and I'm really excited because Vivian was the illustrator for a book that our friends over at Familius will be publishing later in the year called The Road Not Taken. But I'm wondering, before we start talking about that book and about your illustrations, has being, I guess, a citizen of the world and that you've lived in these many different places, does that give you a different perspective, do you think, than somebody like me who's, I've done some traveling, but, I've lived in Boston pretty much all of my life?
I think it has affected me in very many different ways other than just the book. I think the book is my experience offer a lot to the book too, because it's about making choices and then kind of not looking back, but being a bit reflected on your own life, that kind of stuff. But as an illustrator, it kind of offered me a lot of different, a lot of different influence on my life and my style as an illustrator too, for sure. So I think just having a diverse background kind of give me a lot of differences as opposed to other illustrators.
Yeah. And we should talk a little bit about your style. It's really it's a beautiful, beautiful style.
Thank you.
It's the colors are a little more subtle than we see in a lot of current children's books. Is it? Am I right in thinking it's that you work a lot in watercolors?
Yes, that's actually, my style is kind of like a combo of both like traditional medium and digital. So, but like in the traditional part, it's mostly all watercolor, a little bit of gouache, but mostly watercolor, and then like digital afterward, like detailing, that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, and this is a question for our listeners because I'm an expert in gouache, but I'm probably other people, and I have no idea what it is. Can you just, cause I've never heard that term before. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sorry, which term? I missed it just a bit.
The gouache, I think you pronounced it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, gouache, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, like, I think for me, watercolor, I just love watercolor. Like, it offers a lot of, like, flexibility and, like, texture in my artwork, you know? And then, now I just incorporated gouache because it's just like a natural complement to it, you know?
Okay, so what is the technique? That gouache is a technique?
Oh, no, it's just the paint. Gouache,
oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah, you know, the gouache paint.
See, that's
Yeah.
how much I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's like basically the same as watercolor. Not the same, but like it's same water-based paint. But, it's more opaque and like dries faster. It's just like offers a little bit more diversity to the style. That's all. I mostly work in watercolor.
I know my niece, who's an illustrator, and some other illustrators who listen to the show, I know they're laughing their heads off at me right now. And that's fine. If I can make people laugh and bring a smile to their face, it doesn't matter how it happens.
I mean, it's an honest thing. Like, I don't know, like, cause it's not a very as common as watercolor, I think. So it's easily like people like, what is that? You know? And I'm like even new to it, so I'm not that familiar with it either.
Well, what a sweet person trying to help me out and help me out of the ditch that I dug for myself. I really appreciate that. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about the road not taken. And we're not looking back at my mistakes right now, and we're looking forward and looking ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, the folks at Familius have decided to take Robert Frost's famous poem and create a picture book around it?
Yeah, exactly. So I wasn't in the process of like, you know, them deciding. I came into the picture when they already have like an idea of what to do, and then they have this text, and they basically came to me with a challenge because the poem was not very long. It's like, I don't know how many lines, but it's just not enough to fill like a whole 32-page storybook, you know, with all the text. So the challenge for me was to create like a visual story on top of that goes along with the text. So they wanted me to kind of just you know, like having the text and then create another parallel story that people can have their own interpretation of it at the same time as interpreting the poem.
Wow. That does sound like quite a challenge.
I know. So like at first I was really kind of freaked out about it. Like I was like, oh my God, I don't know what like exactly to do. It took me a long time to kind of like with thinking and like planning, but also like the people at Familius were really helpful too. They had this idea, but then they also like were in the discussion about it. And so we kind of like came together with this whole idea of like having this boy kind of walk through the forest, and then like, you know, like that's in the poem, like, and he comes to like a fork in the road, and then he has to choose his path kind of stuff. But then like we also add a lot like what happens in his life and that kind of stuff with pictures and not text.
How did you enjoy that experience? Because it is very different from a typical illustrating experience, I imagine.
Yeah, it is. I really, really enjoyed it because I had a lot of freedom in creating this. Like they were great at like just kind of letting me interpret it in a way that I want it. like they gave me guidelines, but then I came up with like, all the sketches, like how I wanted to show the story, and then they were like giving me a lot of freedom, which to an illustrator, I think it's like dream come true, at least for me. Cause like, I like doing all kinds of stories, but like sometimes, people come with like a very, very clear direction of what they want you to do. And that's cool. But like sometimes I miss the, the spontaneity of like coming up with whatever I wanted that like I think suits it well, and then that people like the publisher goes along with it, which is like awesome.
Yeah. How much of you are we going to find in the illustrations and that story that you created through illustrations in The Road Not Taken?
I think a lot, like a lot of it, because like I said, they gave me so much freedom that, I basically came up like with everything, like from the style to like what I think would look, like accompany the text well in a certain page and everything. Like I think I came up with like most of them, and then they didn't really change all that much. Like they just kind of gave me free rein on it. So that's why this project is like very personal to me, because I feel like I've done a lot in this, and then a lot of them is like what I would do even if it's my own project, So it's like, I really, really enjoy doing this project just because of all the freedom and all the effort I put into it, as if it's like I wrote it and like my own project.
Yeah. I'm wondering, as you're speaking, and sometimes I sit down. I know in the case, I've written a number of different picture books, and it's always been my work, and either my niece or another illustrator has taken my ideas and created. And sometimes I feel bad because it's like, well, I'm getting the credit as the author, but so much of the book are the pictures and the illustrations. Has there ever been a case where an illustrator creates, as you did, creates a story with the pictures and then goes out and finds an author to kind of put the words to the pictures?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I've never heard of that happening, actually. I think that would be really cool. I haven't done this and I haven't heard about it, but like I right now am working on my own story too. And it's kind of like this, like I work from backwards. Like I had all these images in my head, and then they kind of go together, and I just wrote a story that would like work with these images. And I'm not a good writer, so I wrote it, but then I had my friend who is a writer like help me with it, and so he kind of like has been editing a lot of it. So basically like he wrote it and then I'm just going to illustrate it. So that's kind of that process.
Well, there's I'm currently working on a story myself, and if you were to pick up the first draft of that story and then read with the latest draft, it's a completely different story. That's a lot from the input.
I'm not familiar with the writing process. Just like I said, I'm not a writer, but like once I started doing it, it is challenging. It's like, it's not as easy. Oh, I mean, I never thought it was easy, but like, it takes a lot of revisions, and it's very different from beginning to end.
Yeah, interesting that you're experiencing, both sides of the kind of picture book creation experience. Do you think that you may want to do some more writing and in the future?
I think it depends on how this one goes, obviously. But right now, it's like this is my passion project, so I'm going to like kind of work on it as I have time, and then I'll put it out and see how it goes, like what kind of reaction I get, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, even if it doesn't go super well, like I think I will still want to write another one because it was so much fun writing this one, So. Yeah.
That's exciting. I can't wait to learn more about it. One of the things you and I were talking about before we started the interview is that Familius is looking to release The Road Not Taken later in the spring, around May or June.
I think no, actually, I think it's earlier in March.
Oh, okay.
If
Great.
I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think it's like right before the graduation season.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that it would be a great book to buy for a graduate. And I know there are a lot of people out there who say, picture books. Okay, yeah, we're going to buy The Road Not Taken for someone graduating from kindergarten. I don't know if they'll get it.
Yeah, no, but like that was the thing with this book is I think that's also why they picked me to illustrate it, because my styles is for children, but also it's like a bit more mature sometimes. Like it could be more mature. So I think that what they want is for this book to be suitable for any age group of graduate, pretty much.
Yep.
You know, because the text, yeah, like you said, it's for kindergartners probably a little bit deep unless they were explained to. But I mean, like they could look at the pictures though. Like it's a fun thing. Like I try to make it visually interesting for everyone.
Yep.
But it's really like for older people too, like that are facing choices in life after graduation.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a great book for them to get some inspirations from, as well as pretty pictures to look at.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I'm a big advocate for buying picture books, for buying books that are traditionally thought of as being for kids, for older kids and for adults, because I think a lot of the messages, especially in picture books, a lot of the messages are very relevant to people at all different ages in their lives. And
definitely.
A book that was meaning for you in kindergarten, when you revisit it as a new dad or as a new mom or as someone getting ready to retire, it can also be very powerful for you, but in a very different way.
Oh yeah, for sure. There are many books I read as a kid, many like kids book. I can still go back to them now, you know, and like find something useful or some meaning in it that's pretty significant still. You know, I think the messages come across pretty agelessly for a lot of them. Yeah. And I hope that this book will be one of them, you know.
Absolutely. And I think that this is a great way too for, you know, there's a lot of people out there who, you know, sometimes poetry can be kind of daunting for some folks, you know, cause a lot of the images and stuff, it's like, the words are pretty, but when you have, when you have somebody else's vision kind of helping you along, that can really make poetry accessible to a lot of folks who may be intimidated by it.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Like for me personally, like I love poetry, and yeah, at first it's really hard. When you first started, it's really hard to understand, but like that's why like this book kind of inspired me to maybe do more poetry illustration too, because I had so much fun, like kind of bringing the text to life and like interpret it in different ways. So like I think I would love to do more poetry, or like, you know, even literature, like short stories or something like that would be great.
What was it that inspired? Because lots of young people like to draw and to paint, and they love art and expression, but to take it that extra step to do it professionally, that takes a lot of courage and it's very difficult. What was it that inspired you to find that courage and follow through with it?
That's a good question, because that was sort of a big step in my life. Because before that, I mean, I've always drawn since I was little. That's like my thing, sort of. And I know I always wanted to do something artistic, but then like I kind of fell into this job in my early 20s that I just kind of did, and it was like a nice job, you know. So like I did it for a long time, and then I didn't really like, I kind of fell out of drawing, and everything, and I started feeling really sad about it. You know, like it's a gradual process. It took years for me to like feel unsatisfied and that I want to do art for a living still. So that's when I think like that was 3 years ago. I quit my job and then just kind of like, you know, jump both feet into this and see how it's going to go. Like I had saved up some money, you know, have some safety net. And then I was like, maybe I can still find a job if it doesn't work out, like in my old field, which I did like video editing. So like I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that and I'll try it out. And then so far it's been going pretty well. So that's why I'm still in it. You know, I'm still kind of like doing this like go and see how it goes sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, the days of getting hired by one company and working there from, you know, when you graduate from whatever college or high school and then staying at that one job until you retire, those days are kind of gone.
I know. Yeah, for sure.
And
that's, yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's kind of, it's scary, but I think it's kind of healthy always kind of reevaluating where you are and thinking about if you're satisfied with what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like now that I'm doing this, it's much more scary. Like, day to day, it's not as financially comfortable, but I am so much more like satisfied with what I'm doing and like happier in general because of it.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I'm looking as I'm looking at your website, vivianmineker.com, a lot of the books that you've worked on seem to be, you know, those picture books that also are very relevant for parents or for grown-ups.
Yeah, like I think because it's my style, or maybe some of the people that like have seen my work somehow, I don't know, they like connect with my style in a subconscious way. They like contact me to do something that's not just for little kids, you know, it's mostly for adults. Although like I'm working on some books now that are going to be published way later that are like definitely for just kids. But like a lot of them like me to do something that's like for both. And I really enjoy doing those too. You know, like I like doing stuff for a large audience.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
One of the other things I'm seeing on your website is that you have a large number of prints, or I guess I'm not sure if that's the appropriate term, but a lot of illustrations that are available for sale. Yeah.
Like most of my, I mean, not everything, but like a lot of my stuff I have available as prints that you can purchase.
And they're like I said, it's a very, very unique style, very beautiful. And it's just it evokes a feeling in me that's really cool, very, very different from a lot of other work that's out there.
Yeah, thank you. Like, I mean, I kind of came onto this style through many, many, many different trials and errors. And then I kind of like, you know, like when you first start, you think you have to have a style. So I tried really hard to like force a style out of myself. And none of them kind of stuck. And this kind of just fluidly came together. I think because when I do this, I have a sort of honesty in this style. Like I really enjoy doing it, and then it's like coming from somewhere inside that's more emotional part of me, I think. So I think that's why it kind of connects with people.
Well, it certainly is connecting with me, and I think anybody who picks up some of your work there is going to connect with them too. We're real excited. Do you have, I guess it's unfair to ask if you have a favorite project or favorite book, but what the heck, I'll ask you anyways.
Well, like, actually, I'm not saying this just because I'm here to talk about this book, but The Road Not Taken has been so far my favorite thing to work on. Hands down, just because of the context, like the text of the book, and the freedom I had doing it. And I felt like the work I put in I really put a lot of myself into the book, and it came out really good, and I'm just really proud of it. So I'm really excited for it to come out and for everyone to see it.
Well, we're real excited too, and we'll make sure that we have a link up so that folks can order it. We'll have a link up so folks can pre-order it the minute it's available. We've been talking today about The Road Not Taken, a new book, a new picture book that's based on Robert Frost's very famous poem, and it's been wonderfully illustrated by our guest Vivian Mineker. And Vivian, the website is out there, vivianmineker.com, and folks can definitely go there and find out a little bit about you and also contact you too.
Yeah, I have a contact page, and you can contact me for anything you want, basically. Questions, inquiries, whatever.
That's great. Well, we're going to make an invitation open for you to come back when that current kind of passion project is ready to share with the world. We'd love you to have you come back and talk about that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Our guest today has been Vivian Mineker. Check out her website, vivianmineker.com, and make sure to check out her brand new book, Road Not Taken, from our friends over at Familius. Vivian, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. That was been really fun.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be another one of our friends from the Spooky Middle Grade Authors Group. Maybe it's a cabal. I'm not sure. We have to check that out. Her name is Sarah Cannon. She will be here. We hope you will be here too. Hey, if you are the author of a great children's book, whether it's a picture book, a middle grade book, it doesn't matter if you're writing it by yourself or with a team or with a cabal. We would love to have you as a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Being a guest is fun, it's easy, and it's absolutely free, and it gives you a chance to tell the world about your fantastic children's book. All you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the contact button, let us know about your great book. We'll let you know the next easy steps. Hey, you can also find out about our great, exciting new Reading with Your Kid live events at the website. We would love to bring the show to your community. We want to thank Vivian Mineker for being here today. We had such a wonderful time talking to her, learning about her illustrations, her process, and her great new Road Not Taken work. And we want to thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, thank you so much for making the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.